Alright, Department of Defense standardization practice for the engineering drawings. What were we on? We were on 16 maybe? No, you were on 19. Definition, acronyms, abbreviation, for the stand for the acronym abbreviations. You got your American, British, Canadian, Australian, AP applicable list, AR with the is required with the ASCC, with the Air Standard Coordinated Committee, with the CAB, with the CAM, with the computer aided drafting, computer aided manufacturing, cage code, ETNI code, CDA, current design activity, CSI, critical safety items, CSP, critical safety process, DL, with the tab list, DFARS, Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation, and Supplement, DLA, Defense Logistics Agency, DLSC, Defensive Logistics Services of the Department of Defense, with the DoD, with the Department of Defense, DODISS, and Index Specification Standards, EGD, and Electronic Generated Data, ESD, Electrostatic Discharge, FSCM, Federal Supply Code for the manufacturer, GD, the Government Design Activity, HCI, Hardness Critical Item Nuclear, HCP, Hardness Critical Process Nuclear, IDL, Indentured Data List, INT, Interface Control, IGES, Initial Graphic Exchange Specification, IL, Index List, MS Military Standard Sheet Form, NSN National Stock Number, ODA Original Design Activity, OD Ozone Depleting Chemical, ODS Ozone Depleting Substance, OCI Observable Critical Item, OCAP the Observable Critical Process, PIN part of the identification number to part list, PL the OQ STAG, Quadruparated Standardization Agreement, American, British, Canadian, and Australian Army Standardization Programs, SGML, Standardization General Markup Language, SMD, Standard Microcircuit Drawing, STEP, Standard of the Exchange of the Product of the DAV, of the WL, Wireless, or accept that the act of the authorized representative of the government, which of the government assumed with itself of the agent with the another ownership of the existing and identified supplies, attended with the approved with the specific service of the rendered and partial complete performance of the contract of the part of the contractor adopted items approved with the inclusion of the Department of Defense Logistics System through the assignment of the National Stock Number to the Defense Logistics Agency with the recognition of the Defense Logistics Agency, the reference number to establish the manufacturer part number to the specification drawing trade name when items are identified by the trade name only. The altered item, the existing standard item under control, and other design activity defined with the national recognized standard of the document, subject to the physical alteration to meet with the design requirements. Approved item name with the approved item number, the name of is name approved with the directorate. Catalog Defense Logistics Service to publish with the catalog handbook AM86 of the federal item name director of the supply catalog. Your artwork master actually scaled configuration, which is used to produce the production master, ANSI IPC T50, assembly of the number of the parts of some of the combination of their joined together to perform the specific function for the subject. This is some of the degradation of any of the parts. Sample the power shuffle the front of the fan assembly of the auto frequency amplifier. Note distinction between the assembly, sub-assembly, determine individual application assembly, one instant for the sub-assembly in another form, portion higher assembly, inseparable parts, some parts for the C354, associated list tabulation pertaining with the engineering information pertaining to item depicted with the engineering drawing and the step of the engineering drawing. Bulk items of these are consistent with the assembly with the part with the oil, wax, solder, cement, ink to the damping fluid, grease, flux, welding, rod, chain satisfies one of the more of the following criteria. The quantity required cannot readily be determined. The physical name of the material is not adoptable to particular representation. Finish size obtainable through use of the such tool of the shear of the pliers, knife of the whichever the further machine operation for the final configuration, such for the describe the way writing without necessity the pictorial representation code identification. See commercial government entity code, commercial government entity code with the 5-character code with the catalog handbook H4, H4 and H8. Commercial government entity codes, which is the sign with the commercial government active the manufacturer develop item to provide the service and supply for the government, while you with the drawing number, the part number of the cage code. This name of the design activity where the series of the drawing of the pin is assigned with the cage code with the previously called with the manufacturer identification part with the number of the federal supply code manufacturer. Commercial identification of the product, of the material, of the code, of the component, of the subsystem, system sold with the trade, with the general public, the core for the normal business operation, price of the base for the established catalog with the market, price of military detail 31,000. Contract. A normal binding legal relationship with the obtained, obligating the seller to finish the supply of the services with including construction of the buyer to pay with them, and includes all the type of the commitment with the obligated with the government with expenditure appropriate funds the except otherwise authorized are in writing in addition with the bilateral instruments contract will include but is not limited to the award of the notice of the war job or of the task letter issued or in basic ordering agreements. The letter contracts orders such as the purchase order under which the contract becomes effective the written acceptance of the performance bilateral contract modification. Contracting of the activity of the government activity have legal agreement or with an individual partnership with a company, with a corporation, association, or other entity, design, development, manufacture, maintenance of the modification, supply items, and serve with the contractor, individual partnership with a company, with a corporation, association, or the serve with the head of the contract with the government for the design, development, the manufacture, maintenance of the modification, supply items of the term of the contract, government activity, performing any of all of the above functions, consider the contract configuration, management, and purposes. Military Standard 973, copy of the reproduction, duplication, any media of original. Critical safety characteristics, any feature of the subject of the tolerance, finished material of the composition, manufacture, assembly of the inspection product with the non-conforming, missing with the cacao, with the failure, malfunction of the critical safety item. Our critical safety item with a part of some of the installation production of the system with one of the more critical character of the non-conformity design data with the quality requirements of the which resolve of the unsafe condition. Unsafe condition, real life, with the hazard severity for the categories 1 and 2 for the military standard 882. Include with the condition for the would cause the loss of serious damage to the end of the item, major component loss, control, serious injury to personnel. Current design activity or CDA activity of the government contractor current having the responsibility for the design and item preparation for the maintenance of the drawing of the associated document, the current design activity. Could be original activity, new activity, one with the responsibility transfer of the government and the design activity, the Department of Defense Index specification standard for the DoD ISS publication listed under the federal military specification standards, related standardization documentation, voluntary standards approved by the U.S. Department of Defense. Digital act design activity and activity have the responsibility of the design item for the activity of the government commercial nonprofit organization ASMEY 1424M. Also, current design activity, original design activity, digital data with the data stored with the computer system employed with the design display in which the user of the computer interactive with the create an entity with the project layout with the drawings, numerical control tapes, other engineering data distribution statement you for the making of the technical data to note the extent of the availability of the distribution, relief of the disclosure with the additional with the approval of the authorization control in the Department of Defense Office. Documentation applied with the specification drawing listed with the samples of the report printed with the typewritten with the other information relating to the design, procurement of the manufacturer, testing, separate inspection for the items, and serve for the drawing, engineering, and engineering documentation, digital data file with the disclosure with the directly with the reference points, graphical, textual presentation combination of both of the physical function requirements of an item, the drawing, the format, the arrangement, and organization information without the drawing, and such a feature for the size of the arrangement block, the note, and the list, and revision information for the optional with the supplemental blocks. Duplicate original. Replica with the engineering drawing with the data, digital data created with the serve of the official record of the item with the original has been lost. The end of the end product item with the end product in an item is an individual part of the assembly with the finally completed state. ASMEY 1424M. Engineering data. Engineering documents for the drawing associated with the company document, the manufacturer specification standard with the other information preparing the design activity relating to the design, manufacturer, procurement of the test and the item inspection item. Federal supply code, manufacturer, see commercial government, then even the code. Find number, item number. The reference item, the reference number item, either the lieu of the which for the item, identify the number of the field of the drawing, enter for the cross-reference item for the number of the part, live for the item name, and identification number to give the reference designation according to the ANSI IEEE standard 200. Maybe you will find the numbers of the item with the number of the ASME 14Y1434M. Government design activity. The government agency responsible for the schedule for the becoming responsible for the configuration, management of the design requirement of the configuration item. The group of the collection of the units of assembly, subdivision is a set of the system which is not capable of complete with the operation function. Example of the antenna group of the indicator group. Item and non-specific term for the denote any unit of the product, including materials part of the assembly, the equipment, accessory for the computer software, item identification with the combination part of identifying with the number of the original design activity with the cage code not applicable to vendor item control drawings, manufacturer, individual company with the corporation firm, government activity who have control of the production item with the produce of the accrued fabricated material with the assemble of the material with the components of the without modification into more complex items. Master drawing. Documentation showing with the dimension limited of the grid locations applicable to any of all of the parts of printed board, rigid, flexible, including arrangement of the conductive, non-conductive patterns, size, type of location of holes, any of the information necessary to describe the product with the fabricated with the ANSI IPCT 50. Match parts. Match with the parts of the other with the special application parts which are machine electric and machine match, otherwise made with which replacement of the match set of the pair is essential. Nationalized, recognized standard for the specification standard for the issue with the intent for the establishment common technical requirements such standard for the development of the government activity, non-government organization, private sector association, organization. Technical side, which conduct the professional standardization activity plan, development, establish publicity, coordinate the standard of the investigation handbook to relay with the document non-organized profits of the ASMEY 424M. The national stock number, the number assigned with each of the items supplied that is purchased for the stock of the distributed with the federal government, non-government, and standing for the drawer document, standardization document development by with the private sector of the association, organization, technical society, which plan with the development established with the coordinating standing with the specification handbooks related document, non-government government standard adopted with the Department of Defense of the Department of Defense Index specification standards, military standard 962. Nuclear efforts in contact with the nuclear efforts on the assembly, sub-assembly of parts due to the nuclear power sources, space, radiation, nuclear weapon producing environments. Our nuclear hardness critical item. Of the nuclear hardness critical item in an item hardware with the software of the staff has one more of the following condition. Functional requirement with the hardware, remaining hardware included with the system design satisfying the requirements of the nuclear hardening of the representative of the specified of the nuclear environment, the cover of the degradation system, severity of the unadditional provision of the hardness with the included with the item specification, design, manufacture, item, selection process, provisions, configuration, control, etc. Functionally required for the hardware, software, inherent provided protection for the system of the elements of the and against the specified nuclear environments, which is modified with the remove the relay for the alternate design could be the degradation system survivability. Hardness detected hardware, software include with the system solely to achieve the system of the nuclear survivability requirements. Hardware items and level application of the hardness to the critical process that is with apply with the supplyability at a higher level of assembly with the game with one more of the HCIs. Or hardness critical items, for example, the item with the design of the nuclear weapon and respond with its intrinsic capability to perform adequate at specified nuclear environments. This definition includes the items with the design modified to provide the nuclear survivability of the other items, but not to provide their own survivability. Right, your nuclear hardness critical profit, the nuclear hardness critical profit, the fabrication, manufacture, assembly with the installation, maintenance, with the repair, with the other process, with the procedure, with the implement, with the hardness design feature, with the satisfy the system hardness replacement. Observable critical item, the observable critical item, any material part or material specifically designed, selected, qualified to meet specified observable requirements. Observable critical process. Observable critical profit, the fabrication, manufacture, assembly, the installation, maintenance, with the repair, other process, with the procedure, with the implements, of the observable design, satisfy the observable system requirements. Original for the current design activity, fully size, reproducible drawing, digital data file with which the kept with the revision record with the recognized as official. Original date of the date established origination for the drawing that is retained throughout the file list of life of the drawing historical record purpose. Our original design activity, an activity of the government over the contractor having of the responsibility originally for the design and item who the drawing number of the cage code is and shown with the title block drawing associated documents. Part 1. One piece, two pieces, more pieces joined together which is normally subject for the disassembly without the obstruction and impairment of design using transistor designed use. Our part identification number of the pin with the identified assigned with the reasonable design with the activity control of the nationally recognized with the chain with the unique identified with the relative of the design activity specific item with the pin number, the partially identified number that generally include with the controlling drawing with the documentation number, the optional suffix, the part or identification number that does not include with the drawing revision identified with the drawing side with the cage code with the term part or identifying number with the replace with the term with the part with the number of the bulk material identification number, ASME Y1424M military standard 961. Procuring activities component with the government agency has significant acquisition function designed for the head of the agency unless the agency regulations specify that otherwise if the term procuring activity shall be synonymous with contracting activity. Product include with the material part for the component of the subassembly, assembly with the component with the term of the product, the with the document with the encompass for the family of the product with the family of the products is defined with all of the products with the same classification, design with the construction material type, accessory product with the same production facility for the process of the quality of the material under the same such management quality controls having the acceptable the variety of physical functional characteristics defined certified in applicable engineering documentation. Product definition data with the denote the totality data elements required with the completely defined product definition for the data with include with the geometry topology relationship with the talents attributed with the feature for the necessary to complete with the defined as a component part assembly with the part for the purpose of the design analysis manufacturing testing inspection mill preference 28,000. Production master A 1-to-1 scale pattern, which is used to produce the drawing more printed with the board with the rigid flexibility with the accuracy specified with the master drawing ANSCI IPCT 50. Qualification. Formal process for which the manufactured product is examined to comply with the requirements of the source control drawing. The purpose of the proving the manufacture of the source of supply ASME Y1424M. quality assurance plan, systematic pattern with all the action of the necessary to provide the adequate to competent management and technical planning with control that are adequate, establish correct technical requirements for the design, manufacture, create products, services that conform with the established technical requirements. Reference documentation, design activities stand with the drawing specification other than the documents for reference for the drawing, a list of the repair of the parts, support items that are integral part of the end of item system of the code for the non-repairable military standard 1388-1. Repairable, having compatibility with being a repaired replacement drawing with a replacement drawing is no original drawing was submitted as a replacement drawing is a new original drawing substitute for the previous original drawing with the same drawing number. Alright, select an item. Select an existing item with control of another design activity defined with the nationally recognized standardization document subject with the defined acceptance criteria such as fit, tolerance, performance, reliability to meet the design requirements. Set a unit for the necessary for the assembly, sub-assembly parts connected with the associated together with the performance and operational functions such as the radio receiver, the set sound measuring system, which includes parts of the assembly unit and cable, the microphone measuring the instrument, the radar, homing set with the set is also to denote the collection of the parts as such for the tool set with set of tire specification document prepared with the support with the acquisition describe the essential for the technical requirements of the material with the criteria to determine whether those requirements of the military standard 961 standardization document established for the uniform engineering technical criteria method process practice for the military standard 962 standardization documentation document developed with the government prior to sector of the association origination with the technical society which plan with the development established for the coordinate with the standard with the specification handbook similar documents for the purpose of the standardization item of the material process of the procedures. Alright, standard company. A company document with established engineering technical limitation application item for the material process, the method of design, engineering, practice unique to that company military detail 131,000. Sub-assembly, two or more parts for the widget of the portion assembly with the unit prepared with the whole of the part of one and parts for the individual replacement. Example, the gun and mount stand, windshield, weapon sail, Military Standard 280. Supplier of C vendor. Symmetrical opposite parts of those parts which are a mere image of each other. System generally a composite composed of the equipment system with the technical capable of the performing supporting operation role of the both of the completing include all the equipment related with the facility material with the software service of the personnel required for operation support with the degree that can be considered the self-sufficient intent of the operational environment military standard 280. 372 unit, an assembly with any of the combination parts of the assembly mounted together with the normal capable independent operation variety situations, and no the size of an item is consideration. In some cases, an electrical motor for a clock may be considered as a part because it is not normally subject to the disassembly. An inventor is a source for which the purchase item is obtained using synonymously in this standardization with the term supplier. Alright, 4. General requirements. The coverage of the general requirements of the preparation engineering drawings associated with the accordance with the ASME Y14100M is up to the detail in Chapter 100 with the contained herein the required with the government application reference of the standard unless otherwise specified where the drawings are based on standard. This fact should be noted on the drawings reference to standard may include the applicable revision letter of the notice of the number C662. Alright, detailed requirement. Alright, applicability. Detailed requirement of the preparation engineering drawings associated list according with the following C67. Type of the application engineering drawings ASME Y1424M, Chapter 200 with the contained herein, with the drawing type with the Chapter 300 with the contained herein, and number and coding application Chapter 400 with the contained herein. The marking for the engineering drawings ASME Y4100, Chapter 500 is contained herein. Revision drawings ASME Y1435M, and associated drawings ASME Y1340, 1434M. Alright, alright, and we're going to cut the tape there.